What's going on YouTube? TeamSC back online here, and welcome back to the Overwatch Offense Hero Overview Part 2. In this guide we will be discussing the other half of the Offense Hero lineup according to Blizzard's organizational categories. We'll be going over Genji, Reaper, the newest addition Sombra, and Tracer in today's episode. Now if you're unfamiliar with these guys are intended for new players and intermediate players alike. We will be discussing the basics as what each and every hero does, along with some technical data including some numbers as to what the weapons all do, and some tips and tricks and kind of a rough idea of how each character should be played and how they fit in the meta at this time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright everybody, first on the list today is a deranged psychopath himself, the Reaper, aka the Tank Buster. Now this hero is a little bit different from the others. He does have 250 HP to start out versus the others, which are normally have only 200. So he is a little bit of a bulkier DPS hero. Does have a passive ability called the Reaping, which pretty much means every time you kill an enemy they do drop these soul globes. They will heal you 50 HP. I'm not getting healed now because I'm already fully healed, but those globes will stay on the map until the enemy team responds, so they are very useful for the Reaper to stay alive in the midst of combat. His two weapons right here are the Hellfire shotguns. They do have a clip of 8, firing about 2 shots a second, taking roughly 4 seconds to empty the entire clip, and does take about 1.5 seconds to completely reload his clip. Now the damage output on these is a little strange. So as you can see from a distance, there's multiple pellets that get shot. Obviously the farther I go, the wider the spread. But the closer I go, the closer together it is. So each pellet does between 2 to 7 damage per pellet, roughly 20 pellets. So each hit max will do 140 damage. As you can see, one body shot almost completely destroys this training bot. Now this weapon does get headshots too, so if you have a big tanky target, you can get an easy 280 damage, guys. So this means he can 2-shot, 3-shot most tanks with good aim, and definitely 1-shot, 2-shot any squishy character at close range. So the Reaper is a force to be reckoned with. His damage output is insane. If you want me to put the technical numbers into consideration, he's got 8 bullets in his clip, which means each shot does 140. So the max for his whole clip, assuming you just have horrible aim and just get body shots, is 1,120 damage. Now if for some reason you're up against like 6 Winstons and you're getting all headshots, he could do potentially 2,240 damage with his entire clip, guys. So I bet you didn't think the Reaper did that much damage, but yes, he is a powerhouse at close range. Hopefully after watching this video you will never go close to a Reaper again and always try to keep him outspaced. So the only drawback to this weapon is it does have a wide spread, and as you can see at further ranges it's not as effective, and if we go even further back we really aren't going to even do much damage at all once these bots respond. There we go. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, well that was unexpected, but anyways, I was showcasing this. As you can see, the spread gets wider the further back we go, and his weapons are less effective at further range. But anyways, man, as far as his damage output goes, Reaper is second only to Bastion. That is right, under ideal circumstances, that is. So let's go on with the rest of his abilities. His left shift is the Wraith form, which kind of turns him into this ectoplasmic, I guess, Reaper type Reaper deal. While he's in that form, he is invulnerable for 3 seconds, and he does get a small boost to his speed. So Wraith form is very good when you're flanking behind enemy lines. You can kind of get out of trouble that way. If you just die and you respawn, it can kind of help you get back to the fight a little bit quicker. But it's really good at getting rid of like certain debuffs, so like Zenyatta's Discord Orb, Widowmaker's Venom Mine. If you Wraith form, it actually cancels those out and then you're no longer affected. And you can also dodge quite a bit of ultimates. Honestly, almost every ultimate in the game you can kind of get out with this. Some of the less obvious ones are Blizzard's Ice Storm from May. You can Wraith form to get out of that. Zarya's Graviton Surge, you can Wraith form to get out of that. Tracer sticks you with a Pulse Bomb. If you time it correctly, you can Wraith form and not take any damage from the Pulse Bomb. And just a whole bunch of utility with this Wraith form. So it is very good at keeping the Reaper alive, allowing him to thrive and hopefully get the job done. In addition to this, this ability does have an 8-second cooldown, so he can't use it that often, but he can use it often enough. Next on the list is his Shadow Step, which is his E ability over here. And this one lets the Reaper kind of teleport. It does have a max range, which is actually pretty far, but he can use this kind of flank, get into high ground positioning to kind of drop back in, swoop enemy supports, drop in, and use his ultimate, which is probably the most common way you'll see it used, especially in solo queue. People like to get on the high ground with the teleport ability and then just drop down and kill everything with his ultimate. Some things to notice about this is that you are actually really vulnerable. It takes 2 seconds to cast, and there's like this little fog that shows up wherever you're teleporting. So either once you're in the middle of teleporting, the enemy team can snipe you out, or if they see this little fog, they can just camp and wait for you and have like a headshot ready to be lined up. So you do need a little bit of caution when using your teleport ability. But it is useful for traversing the map a little quicker and also getting a tactical advantage if played properly. Last on the list is Reaper's Death Blossom, which pretty much is him going crazy, saying die, 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 destroying everything. Now this ability does 200 damage a second for a total of 600 damage, meaning this ultimate lasts 6 seconds. Now the radius of this is kind of 360 degrees. It's roughly 8 meters long. If you remember my Soldier 76 video, the health pack is like 5, so this one has 3 meters on top of what his health pack radius is. And it just does a lot of damage, guys. Like pretty much any character in the game can be killed with this ultimate, including tanks. Well, except for D.Va. D.Va I think is the one exception. But pretty much, as you can see, completely just wrecking shop, killing everything around him. Some things to note while using this ultimate is you are actually pretty vulnerable if the team has good spacing or good aim. Granted, everything close to you that doesn't have any kind of abilities protecting it will probably die right away, but you got to be kind of mindful. If you're up against an enemy with like a Roadhog, he can hook you and cancel your ultimate. Even a McCree can stun you with the flashbang. And there's a couple more too that you got to watch out for. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head right now. But I think those are the main two. A good Genji can actually get up in your face and deflect your ultimate at you and completely stun you. Just things to watch out for. If you're up against any of those characters, you need to kind of keep an eye on where they're at to make sure they don't cancel your ult. But against disorganized teams in solo queue, that ultimate will wreck shop and get you play of the game countless times for a bunch of easy triple kills, quad kills, and even more. But in more coordinated play, you can use it in combination with your allies like a Zarya, who uses Graviton to make all the enemies stuck, or even a Blizzard who's frozen everything, or, you know, the list goes on, guys. Reinhardt, Earth Shatter, kill everybody when they're down to make sure you don't get stopped. Have Anna healing you and giving you the nano boost to do even more damage and kind of wreck shop. It's just a lot of possibilities with this guy. So in summary, the Reaper, insane damage output at close range. Not too good far away, so he's definitely good at hitting bigger targets, dealing with tanks. He's good on King of the Hill maps where you're forced into like a small amount of space and everyone's just kind of up in your face trying to contest the point. He's also good for stalling the point and payloads with this Wraith form, as it gives him 3 seconds of invulnerability to stall and wait for your team to come back, or to just kind of contest and get the overtime in play. So Reaper also really good at staying alive because of these health packs. So he's kind of just this weird flanker character, can also get a good deal of scouting, but can also contribute massive amounts of damage to the front lines of any team fight. So hopefully you enjoyed this, guys. Go out, play some Reaper, and just wreck shop, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go to the next one on our list. Alright everybody, and welcome back. Next on the list is none other than the iconic Tracer herself, the capital ship for the Overwatch franchise, probably the first face you've seen and the first voice you've heard. Everybody remembers this one. And as you can see, she's famous. She's even got a poster here posted on this little training map. So let's go ahead and get started. To start things off, she only has 150 HP, which is less than most of the offense heroes. As you can tell, the average is about 200. Some a little bulkier with 250, but Tracer's a little bit more on the squishy side. Now she does make up for this because she's actually got a relatively small hitbox compared to some of the other characters, so she is a harder target to hit, and she's got a lot of utility in her abilities that we'll discuss here in a moment. Her first weapon is the Pulse Pistol, which has a clip of 40 and pretty much dumps it all out in a second, taking 1 more second to reload, and then she can do it all over again. Now each clip does it's kind of a burst of bullets. She fires roughly 20 bullets. It takes 2 ammunitions for 1 bullet if I remember correctly. So she fires roughly 20 shots in a burst. Each of them does between 3 to 12 damage. Obviously 12 damage close up, 3 is be the fall off. As you can see, the farther back we go, the less damage we do, and it's not nearly as effective. But up close, it does a lot more damage really quick. And you can get headshots with these, so body shots, one clip will do 240 damage, which is enough to eat up most of the squishy characters in the cast. Headshots, you can do up to 480 damage, which is a pretty decent chunk of health on a tank. One thing to note about this weapon is that since it fires so many small pellets, it's actually not that good against armored targets. So the tanks like D.Va, Reinhardt, Winston, characters that have a base armor to start off with, Tracer really does not do a lot of damage to them because armor reduces damage done by half, which is pretty much 50%. So whenever Tracer's attacking armored targets, it takes a long time to chip down a D.Va, so you're probably best going for squishy characters and healers, which is what Tracer's all about anyways. So her first ability is her blink ability, which can be used by pressing the shift button, essentially just blinking her forward in space on a horizontal trajectory. It does take 3 seconds for this ability to reload, so meaning after you use it, you usually have enough time to do about 2 clips and then you can completely blink again, assuming the blink meter wasn't fully charged. As you can see, I got it a little bit quicker there. Things to note, you can't actually blink up, it'll just blink you forward, even if you're looking up. But you can actually cross airspace whenever you're kind of on an even angle. We can actually try to make it to the top of that platform by stacking up a couple blinks, and it does manage to get us to the top of the platform. So a lot of maneuverability with this. Blinking does make you hard to hit, makes you very good at getting behind enemy lines and getting out of trouble just like that, because as you can see, we almost killed ourselves. In addition to that, we can use our other ability, which is Recall, which takes us back to where we were 3 seconds prior. So what that does is it will reset our clip to what our ammo was 3 seconds ago. It will also get rid of any statuses that might have happened. So if we have like a Discord orb from Zenyatta or got hit by the Venom Mine from Widowmaker, it'll reset those. And it'll also reset our HP to what it was 3 seconds prior. So if you went in, you took a lot of damage, you need to get out in emergency, you can just use Recall and go back to where you were to make sure everything is all great again. Now this ability does take 10 seconds to cool down, so you can't go spamming it all the time, but it's definitely useful in a pinch to get you out of trouble. But for all other situations, you can just use Blink to do it, and it should take care of you just fine. As you can see, we were about to commit suicide, but we decided we're just going to recall away. So anyways, last on the list is Tracer's Pulse Bomb. Now this takes a little bit of getting used to learn how to aim with it. But pretty much she throws a plasma grenade, kind of similar to Halo 3 if you guys remember. It sticks onto the enemy target, and then after 2 seconds it will detonate, dealing 400 damage to the enemy itself and anybody around in that little splash radius, as you can see. One thing to note is that the splash damage can hit you, so it is possible to commit suicide from an enemy pulse bomb. So usually you want to get in, get out, blink away, and get far away to make sure that does not happen to you. Some notable things about the ultimate is that it actually does 5 damage when you stick it on the target, and if you stick it on the head, it'll actually do 10 damage. But the ultimate itself won't do double the damage if you throw it on the enemy's head. It just has a little bit of damage from just sticking the target. With the Tracer's ultimate pulse bombs, you do need to be cautious around Lucio and Zarya, as Zarya's barriers can actually completely crush your ultimate, as in blocking it out or blocking her teammate, to where they don't die from the pulse bomb. And then Lucio's ultimate, the sound barrier, will save their entire team from a pulse bomb. But other than that, it does have a good amount of utility, definitely good for getting rid of key targets like a Bastion at the back lines, a Torb turret, going behind a Rhine shield and doing some massive damage to the Rhine to get the enemy tank down so your other teammates can push in. Pretty much Tracer, in summary, is a flanking character. She excels at just going behind enemy lines, getting in the back, harassing enemy support, taking out enemy support, and even like preoccupying the team's main like tanks or DPS, keeping them distracted so the rest of your team can kind of move in and do damage. And Tracer's got a lot in her kit that lets her stay alive, lets her stay real mobile. But she does have a high learning curve, guys, so it's not easy to play a good Tracer. And actually you'll probably die a lot more when you're starting off and kind of hinder your team. But once you master the basics of Tracer and kind of learn to be real fluid and have real good game sense, then you are completely a beast. I mean, bad Tracers don't help the team. Good Tracers are a nightmare. I mean, you can carry your team, you can pretty much take care of everything by yourself with good map sense, coordination, and utilization of Tracer's kit. So she does have a very high skill cap, definitely a character that takes a while to get good with, but once you're good with her, there's just a lot of options for you guys. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little Tracer overview. I don't think I left anything out, but let's go ahead and get the next person on our list. Alright everybody, next on today's list is everybody's favorite cyborg ninja, Genji. For all you Genji mains out there, for all you wannabe Genji mains, for everybody who loves to pick Genji, this guy is probably one of the most picked characters in the solo queue meta, especially alongside his brother Hanzo. It would be the brothers. But let's go ahead and talk about this character in general. So he does have 200 HP, which is pretty standard for all the offense heroes. Not bulky like 250 or weak like 100. He's pretty standard, not much to say there. His does have two passive abilities like any ninja. He should be able to climb walls, and on top of that he can also double jump while he's up in the air. So this makes Genji very mobile, able to traverse terrain very well, and kind of just really, the map belongs to Genji. He can get anywhere and everywhere, making him very good at flanking and just highly mobile in general. His main weapon is a shuriken, which he has 2 fires on. The first will throw 3 simultaneously in a straight line. Each of these shurikens do 28 damage. I don't know how they came up with such a strange number, but each hit does 28. So the max amount of damage a volley of 3 will do is 84. Wait, did I do that right? 28, yeah, that's right. Okay, so each hit does 28 damage. The max amount of damage you'll do for a volley of 3 is 84, but it does get headshot as well, so if you do manage to land your shurikens in the head, you will do a total of 168 damage. I don't know why they pick such strange numbers. This is probably the only character who's got his weapon numbers so tampered with and technical. It does take 1.5 seconds to release shuriken, so it's a little bit on the slower side as the heroes go. But his alternate fire lets you fire them in a volley horizontally, where they'll fan out as 3. Now whenever he shoots them like this, he does shoot a lot faster, so this is a lot better at close range. Or if everybody's clumped up together, just throw a volley of 3 and you can definitely do a lot more damage a lot quicker doing the alternate fire that way. Notable things about this weapon is that they do not have fall off damage, so I can hit enemies very, very far away and deal 100% of my damage. He's one of the only heroes who doesn't have this applied to him. Like Soldier 76, McCree, those kinds of heroes, for example. They've tried to shoot something that far, they're not going to do any damage to it. Genji's the only one who can actually deal max damage at that long a range. And also his shurikens, they don't arc, so wherever you're aiming at, it's going to go straight to the point. So this makes Genji good at dealing with Bastion turrets, Torb turrets, anything stationary and anything that's not moving at a far range distance. Genji can usually get some pretty solid hits on by utilizing this attribute of his weapon. So on top of that, he does have a couple other things in his kit, as if that wasn't enough. He does have the, Swift Strike ability, there we go. So pretty much what this does is it's just shift function. Genji will just completely like dash forward, and actually covers a good amount of ground. I could probably hit him from here. So it goes all the way forward, dealing 50 damage to anybody in between. So this is a lot of uses. So first of all, you can finish enemies off like that. You can kind of, throw some shuriken, swift strike to finish them off, and then hit them with the melee attack, kind of get some Genji combos going. If you get into trouble, you can just double jump, I messed up there. But you could double jump and swift strike away. Unlike Tracer's blink ability, Swift Strike can actually get you vertical distance in the air. So you can actually kind of go up higher, go down low, wherever you need to go with that ability. On top of that, if you do actually get a kill before your Swift Strike cooldown resets, it'll actually reset your Swift Strike for you. So you can get some sick link chain combos that way by just chaining up some Swift Strikes and getting some well-placed, well-timed eliminations. So Genji also has a pretty high skill cap like Tracer. The difference between a bad Genji and a good Genji is game changing. Good Genjis can completely destroy the enemy team, flanking behind enemy lines, dealing a bunch of damage, and just wrecking shop. In addition to that, Genji also has a deflect ability in his kit. By pressing the E button, he can deflect projectiles back at the enemy or just away from him in general. So this makes him immune to projectiles for 2 seconds. This doesn't apply to beam type weapons like Zarya's beam or anything that shoots into beam, but everything that's kind of projectile like this, Genji will deflect. And actually when he's in deflect mode, you can actually aim his crosshairs at enemy targets. So if they're attacking you, you can aim stuff back in their face. You can actually even aim projectiles back at enemy heads and get headshots from it. So there's a lot of uses for Genji's projectiles. I mean, he can kind of get in the Reaper's face when they're ulting, deflect everything. Some less obvious ones, but also crucial if you can actually hit him, is like Zarya's ultimate, the Gravitation Surge, and also Mei's ultimate, the Blizzard. They throw out like a little drone and a little ball before the ultimate starts. Genji can actually deflect those, causing the ultimate to turn on the enemy team. So those are very hard to pull off, but like I said, if you're very good, skilled Genji and reach the high skill ceiling, you can do those kind of game-changing plays for your team, which is kind of ridiculous, to be honest. Honestly, I think it's probably a little overpowered, but the thing is that it's very hard to actually pull it off because it takes a lot of skill and game sense and knowledge to weave it all together. So in addition to deflecting ultimates, swift striking all over the field, and just, you know, being a mobile super fly ninja, he's got his ultimate, the Dragon Blade, which will turn him into a melee power horse for a total of 6 seconds. So whenever the Dragon Blade is active, he pulls out his sword and he just starts hacking away. Each slash with the sword does 120 damage. It will not headshot, obviously, but you can get a total, in a perfect world, you can get 9 slashes with Genji's Dragon Blade. But this is assuming all you're doing is slashing and not actually moving across the map or swift striking trying to get enemies. But it does let him sometimes carry teams and do a lot of damage to the enemy teams. It only takes 2 swipes to kill any squishy, and then 3 to 4 to get rid of the tank. So as you can see, we go in Dragon Blade mode and just mess everything up, and we still got slashes to go. So that is Genji, guys. Super powerhouse ninja. Definitely good. Very good character to flank, very good character to kind of solo, kind of do your own thing, staying alive with deflect, a lot of mobility to get out of trouble, and just really good at disrupting the enemy teams, trying to go for the enemy team supports, and then working in combination with your team to get some game-changing plays with his ultimate. But there is a lot to say about Genji. He does have a high skill cap, like I mentioned. There's a lot of game sense required to know when to use his fast weapon versus his normal weapon, and just traversing the map and staying alive and getting good at deflecting shots back at enemy head target. It just goes on and on. Genji's a pretty deep character. We can probably talk about him a lot more than the contents of this overview, but for purposes of keeping things simple, I think we hit point on the major topics. Alright, so let's go on to the next one on our list, and I believe it's time for the newest edition, Sombra. So we'll see you guys in a second. Alright everybody, next on the list is none other but the newest addition to the Overwatch roster herself, Sombra, the hacker, the disruptor, the pseudo flanker. There was really a lot not figured out about her yet, so we're going to spend a little bit of time trying to discuss her abilities since she is the newest hero of the cast. And I'm going to do my best job to kind of let you guys know what we know as the community and what we figured out about this character up to this point. So to start things off, she does have a passive ability called Opportunist, which as you can see that little health bar in the distance. When enemies drop below 50% of their health, you can actually see them through walls, which makes Sombra kind of a stalker type character, able to kind of call out and let your allied flankers know, or if you're flanking yourself, kind of go and hunt weak enemies and get free picks off the stragglers that way. In addition to that, her primary weapon is the machine pistol. It does have a clip of 60, and she does fire a short-range spread of everything. Now, this weapon does a total of 480 damage to the body for the whole clip. Can do up to 960 if you get headshots, but it doesn't have that far a range. As you can tell, the further away we go, it's not nearly as good. But it is actually hit scan, which means whatever you're clicking on, it's going to hit it regardless. But not too applicable like Soldier 76 or McCree, because with them, you know, like obviously we can't even hit those. Actually, I guess we are hitting them, but we're not doing like any damage. As you can see, the spread is just too bad for someone to do anything to heroes that are that far in the distance. But up close, you're pretty much guaranteed your target connects if you have good aim with your machine gun pistol. Now, 480 damage might sound like a lot, but it does take her roughly a little over 3 seconds to empty out her whole clip, so it actually doesn't come out that fast in the grand scheme of things compared to other characters like Soldier 76 or Reaper. Sombra's a little low on the damage output and has to rely on more things in her kit to kind of get good use out of her. Her main ability, which is the one we'll probably spend a lot of time talking about, is Hack. Now, by using the shift button or right clicking on your mouse, you can actually hack the enemy target. Now what does this mean? So pretty much when an enemy target is hacked, alright, well let's start by, you can hack enemies and health packs and like stationary torp turrets, but that's a whole nother story. So whenever you hack an enemy target, you do have a decent range for the ability of casting the hack. It takes about 1.2 seconds before the hack goes off, and you can't be getting attacked or getting disrupted to do the hack. So if you're taking damage when you're trying to cast a hack, it's not going to go through, period. But what it does do whenever it goes through is it actually stops the enemy from being able to use their abilities. Now it doesn't stop primary weapon and it doesn't stop any passive abilities, but it'll stop anything else besides that. So let me explain. So it kind of works best against like channeling abilities like Roadhog's ultimate, which is, you know, a channeling ability, or like McCree's Deadeye. You can actually hack them and completely cancel their ultimates if your hack goes off in time. In addition to this, it also works on setup bastions. You can hack them and it'll actually take him out of turret form and put him back into his normal form. If you get the hack on Orion's shield, it'll completely break his shield, but you can't hack through the shield, so you're gonna have to try to like hack from behind. Other people that are pretty good to hack, Diva, once you hack her, she's completely not mobile and just stationary. You can hack Reaper and May to confirm getting the kill on them so they can't, how you say, go Wraith form or go into a little Cairo icebox type deal, so that way you guys can kill the May who's stalling the payload. And a couple other uses like that. Hack does last for 6 seconds on the enemy target, so it's not too long. So it really requires a lot of communication with your team and coordinating to whenever you get a hack off to make sure you guys capitalize it. Like you say, you got the hack on the May on the payload. Like, hey guys, we got to pick off that May because she's got 6 seconds so she can use her abilities again and actually stall out the payload. And Ryan Shields get the hack, you know, you guys got to push in right then because in 6 seconds he's getting his shield back. Other uses for hack, you can hack health packs, and this one seems to be pretty good. We'll actually go over here and kind of hack this little health pack. So whatever you hack the health pack, it actually blocks it out from the enemy team completely. So once it's hacked, no enemy teammates can get it. Hacks on health packs last for an entire minute, and it actually reduces the charge rate of these health packs considerably. Actually, I'm going to go take some damage so I can show you how fast these health packs recharge. So for the small health packs, they normally take 10 seconds to recharge. For the large ones, it's about 15. Sombra reduces that time by like a third of it. So we can hack this health pack, and instead of waiting 15 seconds, we get a full-blown 200 health pack in 5 seconds. So this is actually kind of a really good, kind of underutilized thing. Some of the pro teams have been using her ability to hack health packs, just kind of poking at the choke and having all the allies come back and healing on the health packs to actually charge Sombra's ultimate up really quick. And by doing that, she can actually charge her ultimate faster than most other characters in the game at this point. In addition to that, some people like to use Sombra, go around, hack the enemy health packs, make sure they don't get them. You can kind of team up with other flankers like a Genji or Tracer and kind of just harass the enemy backlines, try to take care of their supports and keep hacking health packs and kind of retreating back to them whenever you start taking some damage. So a lot of utility for hack. Definitely a big learning curve, learning who you should be hacking and when you should be hacking, and also a lot of team communication is required to get use out of this, because if you're just kind of hacking for no reason, it's really no point. You might as well just be trying to shoot and take down the enemy instead. But if you're doing that, you know, there's better options for point and shoot characters. And then the last thing to mention, Torb's turret, if you manage to hack that, it's actually hacked for 12 seconds. So it's kind of a lot of inconsistencies all around. Torb's turret is a 12 seconds, characters are 6 seconds, and then health packs are for 60 seconds. Anyways, moving on, the next ability on her list is the Thermoptic Camo. By hitting the shift button, it takes about 3/4 of a second to activate, but we go temporarily invisible to all enemy characters and get a huge boost to our speed. This is good for flanking, getting behind enemy lines, kind of getting into position to set up to harass the enemy, and just kind of really scouting, like we said, with the opportunistic passive ability. Whenever we see the damaged characters, we can Thermoptic Camo, kind of run, try to flank behind and kind of get the pick on them before they get healed up again. On top of this ability, very good for those things, not good for running away. Some things to note is if you get hit while you're invisible, you're not going to be invisible anymore, so you lose your speed boost and you lose your vision. As you can see, those robots hit me and then my visibility was off. So if you're like in the heat of combat and you're trying to get away, Thermoptic Camo is actually a very bad choice for trying to run away, because odds are they know where you're at, they're probably going to hit you anyways, and you're just not going to go anywhere. So that's where Sombra's second ability comes in for getting out of trouble. Her second ability is the Translocator, which lets her throw this little beacon type deal. Now this beacon's invulnerable, enemy teammates cannot kill it. It stays on the field for, was it 14-15 seconds? And as long as it's there, we can warp to that location at any time. So we can throw that beacon, go behind enemy lines, get into trouble, and then instantly use it to teleport back to safety. A lot of people like to hack a health pack, throw down this Translocator, and just keep it at the health pack so whenever they get into trouble they can teleport back and heal up. In addition to this, you can use it for just traversing the map. As you can see, we throw it and we can actually warp to it while it's in midair. The beacon doesn't have to land before you can set it up. And it doesn't stick to wall, so it'll fall down and just land on whatever flat surface comes to it first. It does have a 6-second cooldown, so you can use it fairly frequently, but it doesn't start the cooldown until obviously you use the ability first or until it times out. Thermoptic Camo, what was it? I think like 8-second cooldown. No, I think it's 6 seconds also. So her abilities have fairly low cooldown, so you are able to utilize them a lot. Hack also has, I think, 6-second cooldown as well. So all in all, she's got some utility in your kit, guys. I'm not saying she's completely useful, she's just real hard to pull off. Her ultimate is a little bit of a different story. So her ultimate is EMP, which is pretty much a mass hack. It'll hit anything in a radius of 20 meters, which is actually a pretty good portion of the map. We should actually be able to hit all these robots here. And when everything's hacked, they will be hacked for 6 seconds. But some notable things about this one, as we mentioned with her regular hack ability, you can't hack through barriers. This one will actually completely shed through barriers and break them. So all barriers, shields, so like Zarya's shields, Reinhardt's barrier, Winston's barrier, hack will actually completely break those. But what it doesn't stop is ice walls, Symmetra's teleporter, Symmetra's sentry turrets are unaffected and unhackable, and Lucio's aura will be when Lucio uses his ultimate, you can actually completely hack all those shields off the Lucio, but you can't turn off his healing aura. If he's stuck in heal or speed, he'll stay there. He just can't switch gears after a hack. So anyways, this is Sombra's ultimate. As you can see, we just hacked everybody. If these robots had abilities, they would be hacked. The main thing with this is it doesn't actually do any damage. Well, granted, everything gets hacked for 6 seconds. To actually utilize it efficiently, you really need to be working with your team, because if you go and mass hack everything, 6 seconds later it's like nothing happened. So you got to coordinate with your team, let them know when you're going in to get the hack, and then once enemies can't use their abilities, you hack the Ryan shields down. You really need to push and capitalize on those kinds of moments. So Sombra's got a lot that she still hasn't figured out yet. Other uses for like hack or her ultimate, you can actually stop McCree, Reaper's ult, Pharah, Roadhog, and Lucio. So those are probably the 5 main ones you want to be trying to get a hack on, or even EMP mid ult to kind of cancel those out. Lot to figure out. So major points: Sombra has low DPS, but she's got high mobility. She's got her invisibility to get to locations quicker. She's got her translocator to pretty much go everywhere on the map and get out of trouble. So she's kind of, I'm calling her a disruptor, because she's kind of a flanker character, but at the same time she's not the best at sniping and picking up enemy supports, but she is good at disrupting stuff. So hacking Ryan shields, hacking enemy health packs, make sure they can't get any heals off those, hacking health packs for your team. Kind of a weird role Sombra is in right now, but she is definitely a lot of fun to play. I'm not saying she's completely useless, but this character is probably going to have a little bit of reworking and some tampering. If she does get major changes, I'll post a link in the description and maybe get an updated video for you guys. But all in all, definitely excited to see more characters coming out for Overwatch. She definitely does change up the game a little bit, and we'll see. Watch, I'm going to make this video today, and then tomorrow someone's going to completely break her and have a brand new meta for us. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this series of the offense heroes of Overwatch, and I'll see you next time. I think the next one I'll be doing are the tanks. Alright.